second chance at love? My sister had just returned to the country when my husband threw a divorce agreement at me. He said our marriage needed to end. My heart shattered into pieces. I signed through the tears. Then, carrying his child, I married his greatest rival. 4 years later, watching the miniature version of him beside me call his rival Daddy, his eyes finally turned blood red with rage. The pregnancy test showed 2 lines. Before I could even feel joy, Dominic threw a stack of papers in front of me. "Claire, let's get divorced. Sign this agreement and I'll give you an additional $20 million. I stared at the man before me, impeccably dressed in his tailored suit, his expression cold as stone, unable to nod. Dominic grew impatient. When we got married, we signed an agreement. 3 years. There's 1 month left. If you don't agree, we'll wait for the contract to expire automatically. But if that happens, you won't see a single penny of that $20 million. I took a deep breath. Dominic, what if I told you I'm pregnant? I admit it, I was pathetic. Even now, I was trying to use a child to keep Dominic. The Hart family line was thin. For a child, maybe Dominic would reconsider the divorce. But his next words sent me plummeting into an icy abyss. I had a vasectomy. The child can't be mine. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Dominic was my only man. If this child wasn't his, whose could it be? Is less than #0. 6 is greater than. But when someone doesn't believe you, all explanations are futile. Dominic left. I stared at the divorce agreement, lost in thought. My marriage to Dominic was a soap opera cliché. 3 years ago, it was supposed to be my sister who married Dominic. But she fled the country to chase true love, just days before the wedding. The Montgomery family needed the partnership with the Harts, so I was sent as a substitute bride. The Hart family agreed, saving face. I'd secretly loved Dominic for 7 years. I didn't refuse. So the only unwilling party was Dominic himself. I don't know what other people's wedding nights are like. On mine, Dominic threw an agreement at me, the same 3-year marriage contract. After 3 years, whether I agreed or not, the marriage would be dissolved. Back then, I was disappointed and hurt. But I didn't give up. I believed that if I tried hard enough to be good to Dominic, I could eventually warm his heart. My sister had gone abroad. I was the one by his side. Someday, he would see my worth. For 3 years, I'd taken care of him meticulously. His stomach was sensitive, so I researched recipes endlessly. He had migraines and insomnia, so I learned acupuncture. Now, looking back, I was so naive. Who falls in love with their housekeeper? It's fine. Being together was torture for both of us. My hand trembled as I reached for the pen to sign the divorce papers. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was my mother calling. "Claire, your sister's back. She's arriving this afternoon. She's coming home with Dominic tonight for a family dinner." My mother's voice was full of poorly concealed joy. I spoke, my voice hoarse. "Why is she suddenly coming back?" She sighed. "I knew that blue-eyed foreigner was no good, but your sister insisted on marrying him." Sure enough, after the wedding, his true colors showed. He was out partying constantly, bringing women home even when your sister was pregnant. He didn't restrain himself, and your sister had a miscarriage. Since your sister chose to come back, she must have come to her senses. That's good. Oh, and Claire, when you see your sister, don't mention the past. Don't make her sad. My mother's voice droned on, but I stopped listening. I suddenly understood something. Why Dominic was rushing to divorce. Because Vivian was coming home. My head spun as strange information flooded my mind. It was as if I were living inside a book. Vivian was the protagonist, and I was just cannon fodder, a supporting character. I secretly loved Dominic, married Dominic, but when the female lead returned, I gracefully stepped aside. Later, when Vivian couldn't have children, I even gave them my own child. I watched them live as a family of 3, smiled, and silently blessed them. I was shocked. Had I lost my mind? But in that moment, I suddenly stopped loving Dominic. I put down the pen. I didn't sign. Why should I step aside just because Vivienne came back? Let them be reunited lovers? Before divorcing, I'd make them miserable first. I refused to be cannon fodder. Even as a supporting character, I'd be a villainous one. I took a cab to the Montgomery house. Dominic and Vivienne arrived together. Compared to 3 years ago, Vivienne looked haggard, no longer her formerly cheerful self. But as always, wherever she was became the center of attention. Mom and Dad fussed over her. It had just rained heavily. Vivienne's clothes were perfectly dry. Dominic's sleeve was soaked through. It wasn't hard to imagine Dominic had held the umbrella over Vivienne while rain poured on him. When I was with Dominic, he always walked ahead while I chased behind. People simply can't be compared. I suppressed my disappointment and walked straight to Dominic's side. "Honey, how did your clothes get wet?" I clung intimately to Dominic's arm. Vivienne's gaze drifted over, slightly dazed. Dominic tried to pull away, but I held tight. "Honey, wet clothes will make you catch cold. You're the company's backbone. You can't get sick. Let me take you upstairs to change." I saw the vein on his temple throbbing as he struggled to maintain composure. But he maintained his husband image and followed me upstairs. Once inside the room, he shook me off. "Don't touch me. You're my husband. What's wrong with me holding your arm?" Dominic took a deep breath. "Did you sign the divorce papers?" "No. I'm pregnant." "I told you I had a vasectomy. Are you sure the doctor who performed it was legitimate? Not a scammer? You've been my only man for 3 years. Don't try to deny it." My voice was cold. Dominic's face turned iron gray as he stared at me. "Claire, how did you become like this?" For 3 years, I'd been the perfect wife around Dominic. Gentle, considerate, obedient to his every word. He'd never seen this sharp, thorny version of me. Actually, gentleness was my disguise. I was vindictive by nature. Since I couldn't make him fall for me, I'd at least draw blood. It was the least his years of humiliation owed me. I crossed my arms. What about me? I'm better than someone who pulls up his pants and pretends not to know me. Dominic was so angry he couldn't speak. Downstairs, I resumed my gentle, considerate act. I sat next to Dominic, acting coy. "Honey, I want fish, but it's too far away. I can't reach." "Honey, I need more water. Pour me some." I kept Dominic running errands. Both Dominic and Vivienne's faces darkened. Perhaps Vivienne was acutely aware that the boy who used to follow her around was now someone else's husband. Halfway through dinner, Vivienne excused herself, claiming fatigue. Dominic finally escaped to the bathroom. "Claire, your sister just broke up. You and Dominic acting like that will hurt her," my mother scolded quietly. I almost laughed. This family was always centered on Vivienne. When she ran away, they made me take her place, never caring how I was doing. Now she was back, and all they saw was Vivienne, not even noticing it was wrong for my husband to be so attentive to her. Vivienne was like the protagonist of this world. With her around, I was always an insignificant side character. No one cared about me. No one. I should have been used to it by now. I looked up, hiding the loss in my eyes, and said pitifully, "Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant." "That's why I—" Before I finished, I heard glass shattering. I looked up to see Vivienne standing there empty-handed, shock written across her face. Dominic burst out of the bathroom, grabbed my hand, and dragged me toward the door. Back home, Dominic glared at me with fury. I am pregnant. Was I not supposed to mention it? Under his murderous gaze, I went to the bathroom. Thinking back on Vivienne's shock and Dominic's anger, I felt a strange satisfaction. Perhaps I really did have a talent for playing the villainess. The next morning, I slept until the sun was high 8 o'clock. When I emerged from the bedroom, Dominic was sitting on the couch, his expression dark. Dominic was particular about everything, even his coffee. Usually, I made his breakfast and coffee for him. But now, I didn't want to serve him anymore. Sleeping in felt wonderful. Hungry? I asked. Dominic didn't answer, but his stomach growled audibly. I'll order takeout. Dominic looked at me with disbelief. He stormed out before the delivery arrived. I silently congratulated myself. Good thing I didn't order for him. That afternoon, while I was getting a spa treatment, Dominic's secretary called. Mrs. Hart, the cafeteria food isn't to Mr. Hart's taste. He hasn't eaten anything. Right, I used to pack Dominic's lunch too. Over the years, I'd made his palate so refined. Except for my cooking, he couldn't stomach anything else. It's fine. When he's hungry enough, he'll eat. That evening, I received a message. A photo from Vivienne. The man in it, with his prominent nose and striking profile, was unmistakably Dominic. She quickly recalled the message. Sorry, sent to the wrong person, Vivienne texted. I ignored her. Tisk. My sister always got whatever she wanted with a crook of her finger. Now she was resorting to these tactics. The White Lotus had turned into a green tea bitch. I wasn't upset. On the contrary, I was pleased. In that photo, in front of Dominic was bright red, spicy hot pot. Dominic had a sensitive stomach. He'd barely eaten breakfast or lunch. Eating that hot pot at night was basically a death sentence. Dominic couldn't handle spice. Vivienne loved it. If Dominic was accommodating her, he'd pay the price. I slept beautifully. Sure enough, when I woke up, my phone showed dozens of missed calls. I checked the messages, all from Dominic's secretary, Mrs. Hart, Mr. Hart's in the hospital. I took my time getting up. I made porridge. After finishing my breakfast, I took the leftovers to the hospital. Dominic had a private room. As I approached the door, I saw him sitting on the bed, pale as death. He kept glancing toward the entrance, as if waiting for someone. When he saw me, his expression soured, and he turned his head away. I walked in. Mrs. Hart's here. Preston, the secretary, quickly took what I was carrying. Mr. Hart has been waiting so anxiously. Finally. Dominic was waiting for someone, but it wasn't me. Mrs. Hart, this porridge smells amazing. Mr. Hart is so lucky. Dominic's deathly pale face seemed to improve slightly. It's what I had left over. Seemed wasteful to throw it out, so I brought it to Dominic, I said casually. Even the smooth-talking Preston froze. Dominic's face turned iron gray. Get out. I enjoyed Dominic's ugly expression for a moment. Seeing him unhappy made me feel better. I turned to leave the hospital room. Then I saw someone standing outside the door. He was tall, with a face rivaling Dominic's. I knew him. Dominic's arch-nemesis, Sebastian Cross. He looked refined, but he was actually a scoundrel. Whatever Dominic liked, Sebastian tried to take. Sebastian had even been Vivienne's lapdog for a while. Later, when I became Dominic's wife, Sebastian tried to seduce me too. Sometimes I wondered if Sebastian was actually in love with Dominic. I stared at him. Eavesdropping? Sebastian was cavalier. How is this eavesdropping? I was listening openly. Claire, you're amazing getting that pretentious guy so worked up. So satisfying. I looked at him expressionlessly. Don't call me that. It's disgusting. Get lost. Claire, why are you suddenly so fierce? His peach blossom eyes held an inexplicable depth. But this is the you I remember. Such a strange thing to say. I assumed he was just being glib and stepped on his foot hard. Hearing his pained hiss, I walked away satisfied. My marriage to Dominic would definitely end. I wanted that extra $20 million too. Dragging my feet on signing was just to torment Dominic and Vivian. But the child in my womb... After hesitating for days, I finally decided to terminate the pregnancy. I made an appointment and went to the hospital. After a series of tests, the doctor looked at my results. Claire Montgomery, with your physical condition, you cannot have an abortion. I was shocked. Actually, I'd had that dream about the book again last night. The book was called The CEO's Darling Wife. In the dream, I was like a reader flipping through pages. Dominic was the male lead, Vivienne the female lead. I was cannon fodder. Sebastian was the villain. I was the saintly cannon fodder who silently blessed them. Sebastian's fate was far more tragic: bankruptcy, reduced to picking through garbage on the streets. The abortion scene matched the book perfectly. The doctor told me the same thing. I couldn't have an abortion. What if I insist? It could be life-threatening. I'd already been hesitant after all. This was my own flesh and blood. The doctor's words made my decision. I'd keep this child. But unlike the book, I wouldn't give the child to Dominic and Vivienne. I'd raise this child alone. As I left the doctor's office, I ran into Sebastian again. Sebastian glanced at me, then at the obstetrics sign on the door. Claire, you're pregnant? Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? I could have come with you to the hospital. I'm busy, but I'd always make time for you and the baby. His words were full of suggestive implications. I stepped on Sebastian's foot again, grinding my heel deliberately. Seeing his handsome face twist in pain, I walked away satisfied. Joy comes before sorrow. Perhaps from watching Sebastian suffer, I was too pleased with myself and accidentally fell down the stairs. Instinctively, I covered my stomach. Through my blurred vision, I felt someone rushing toward me. Then I was lifted up. Doctor! Doctor, come quickly! It sounded like Sebastian's voice. But why did it carry such panic? I thought hazily before losing consciousness. When I woke up, Sebastian was sitting beside the bed. He sat on a low stool, his long legs awkwardly positioned. Seeing me wake, his peach blossom eyes glanced over. Oh, you're awake? Claire, is your cerebellum underdeveloped? You can't even walk without falling. Sebastian mocked me mercilessly. I was certain the panic doctor. I'd heard before fainting was an illusion. Suddenly, Sebastian's expression transformed. Claire, you look terrible. Does it hurt somewhere? Let me kiss it better. In the next instant, a figure stepped between us. Dominic grabbed Sebastian's hand, his face dark with fury. Sebastian, she's my wife. Dominic's voice was ice cold, as if his gaze could crush Sebastian. Claire has a husband? She came to the hospital for a prenatal checkup alone. I thought her husband was dead. Sebastian didn't back down. Dominic pressed his lips together, glaring at Sebastian. Sebastian showed no fear. Get out! Dominic said coldly. Tisk, Dominic, are you a broken record? That's the only word you know. Sebastian mocked Dominic until he was on the verge of exploding, then finally left. I felt pretty good. Though Sebastian was annoying, he was quite adorable when tormenting Dominic. Dominic suddenly glared at me, his expression ugly. I touched my face, realizing I'd been smiling. Sebastian wants everything that's mine. He's only nice to you because you're my wife. Don't flatter yourself. Dominic's voice was cold. In that instant, a brilliant idea popped into my head. One that would infuriate Dominic. I put on a troubled expression. What should I do? I think I'm falling in love with Sebastian. Dominic, I'll sign the divorce papers when I get home. My words made Dominic's face turn iron gray. Back home, I looked for the divorce agreement. Strangely, I couldn't find it. I called Dominic. Where's the divorce agreement? He paused, then said, I don't know. I'd been with Dominic for 3 years. I knew him well. He was lying. He'd hidden the divorce agreement. He'd pressured me to sign initially, but now he was hiding it so I couldn't. Apparently, Dominic's feelings for Vivienne weren't that strong after all. For the sake of male pride, he chose to postpone the divorce. But I didn't care. Dominic couldn't hold out much longer. In the following days, I ate and drank as I pleased. I also planned my post-divorce life. I'd move to a small town, open a little shop, live a simple life. Suddenly, my mother called, asking me to come home. When I arrived, Mom, Dad, and Vivienne were all sitting there looking serious. Mom came over and took my hand. Claire, I know you haven't been happy these years married to Dominic. He's treated you poorly, like a housekeeper. She looked heartbroken. I almost laughed. So she knew all along. I used to think she just didn't care. Like when we were children, if Vivienne had the slightest bump, they'd rush her to the hospital. But when I had a fever all night, no one noticed. What was crueler, she actually knew, but didn't care. Both her daughters, yet Vivienne was precious while I was dispensable. Claire, why don't you just divorce him? She suggested divorce, but obviously not for my sake. I looked at Vivienne. Yes, Dominic doesn't love you. Why torture each other? Vivienne said. I spoke up. Dominic loves you. Are you suggesting that after we divorce, you'll marry him? Vivienne said nothing, but her meaning was clear. I looked at Mom and Dad. Clearly they had the same idea. No expectations meant no disappointment. I stroked my belly. If we divorce, what about my child? Claire, stop pretending. That child isn't Dominic's at all. Dominic hasn't exposed you out of courtesy. Don't push your luck. Vivienne showed no mercy. Ha! Vivienne was getting impatient. 500,000, I said quietly. Vivienne was stunned. What? Give me 500,000 and I'll divorce Dominic. Mom and Dad adored Vivienne. Everything the Montgomery family had was for her. 500,000 was pocket change. I needed as much money as possible to raise the child alone. Plus, when Dominic found out he'd been sold for 500,000, he'd be furious. 2 birds, 1 stone. Vivienne gritted her teeth and nodded. Call Dominic then. Vivienne made the call. Dominic arrived quickly. Dominic, where's the divorce agreement? I asked. Dominic glared at me. Are you that eager to be with Sebastian? Yes, I can't wait. Even if I can, the baby can't. Dominic, let's divorce. Dominic pressed his lips together, clearly not wanting to divorce. Dom, since Claire insists on divorcing, just do it, Vivienne said. Only then did Dominic call his secretary. Soon, the divorce papers arrived. I signed efficiently. Dominic, remember I'm the one who doesn't want you anymore. Oh, and don't forget to transfer that divorce settlement. I signed, turned, and left without looking back. Goodbye, Dominic. I wandered the streets in a daze. I thought I wouldn't be sad. But my heart felt hollow, like the wind could blow right through it. I'd long since given up on Dominic. But today, I'd lost not just Dominic, but my family too. Actually, they'd never cared about me. Today, I was just facing that fact. No one loved me. No one cared about me. I was just an insignificant supporting character. Suddenly, a Maybach stopped in front of me. The door opened, and a long leg stepped out. That refined scoundrel's face, it was Sebastian. Sebastian got out and blocked my path. Divorced? I glared at him. How did he always know everything? Vivian told me, "Claire, now there's nothing stopping us from being together." He sounded sincere. I was speechless. Are you insane? You want revenge on Dominic so badly you'd do this? I'm pregnant. You want to be a stepfather? Dominic's son calling me dad, just thinking about it makes me happy. Sebastian stroked his chin. Mystery solved. Sebastian really was insane. I walked around Sebastian. He followed behind, listing all the benefits of marrying him. I was exasperated. But somehow, the pain in my heart had faded. I left the city where I'd lived for over 20 years. I moved to a small town, thousands of miles away. Strange people, strange scenery, everything strange. I wanted a fresh start. But as soon as I got off the plane, I saw a familiar figure. Sebastian smiled at me. What a coincidence, Claire. Are you following me? I was speechless. He'd stolen the words right out of my mouth. I arrived at the house I'd bought online. The apartment I'd purchased sight unseen. As I was about to enter, the door across the hall opened. Sebastian's refined face appeared before me. Is less than #0. 6 hashes greater than his expression was exaggerated. Claire, why are you living across from me? And you say you're not stalking me? Just admit you have a crush on me. I went inside and slammed the door with a resounding bang, answering his question that way. The apartment came fully furnished. It had been professionally cleaned beforehand. So I just did some light tidying. As I sat down, my phone buzzed. I picked it up. The call disconnected immediately. It was Dominic's number. Misdialed? I blocked him. Soon after, another unfamiliar number called. Mrs. Hart, I'm Dominic's friend. He's drunk. Can you come pick him up? Before, whenever Dominic had business dinners and got drunk, no matter how far away, I'd go get him. But now, Dominic and I are divorced. Call his secretary. I hung up immediately. I added that number to my block list too. 2 numbers now sitting in blocked calls. And this was just the beginning. Over the following days, various people close to Dominic called me. Dominic was in the hospital with stomach pain. Dominic had a cold. Most absurdly, Dominic missed me so much he cried. Something was seriously wrong. I'd cleared the path for him and Vivienne. So I suspected these people were deliberately tormenting me. I changed my phone number and created a new social media account. Finally, I had some peace. I opened a flower shop downstairs. Welcome. I looked up, saw who it was, and rolled my eyes. Sebastian was dressed in a suit and tie, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looking refined. He picked out a bouquet of roses. $99. After Sebastian paid via phone, he handed me the flowers. I didn't accept them, so he put them in the vase on the counter himself. Sebastian was relentless. He really was committed to becoming a father to Dominic's child. Truly, the villain from the book. No wonder Dominic made him end up picking through trash. At first, I'd refuse. Eventually, I went numb. He could do whatever he wanted. Miss Montgomery, your flower order's here. Hearing my name called, I hurried out to receive it. Suddenly, a car veered out of control toward me. In that instant, My mind went completely blank, until a figure tackled me to the ground. It took me a while to process what had happened. It was Sebastian. He was always so particular, even taking out the trash, he'd be impeccably dressed. Now his glasses had fallen off, his hair was disheveled, looking completely disheveled. Yet I felt inexplicably close to him. "Sebastian, get up. Are you hurt?" I asked urgently. "I'm not you that clumsy. I have a black belt in Taekwondo. A little car can't hurt me." Sebastian rolled over and sat up, his handsome face momentarily contorting. "Shit. I think my leg's broken. Is less than #0. 6 is greater than I immediately called 911. While waiting for the ambulance, I looked at his twisted leg, not knowing what to do, tears welling up. "It's just a small injury. I won't die." Sebastian seemed unconcerned. Suddenly, his expression became flustered. "Why are you crying?" "Claire, don't cry." "Hey, really, it's nothing. Look, I'll hop for you." He actually tried to get up. I quickly held him down. "If you move again, I'll really cry." He immediately froze. At the hospital, the doctor treated Sebastian's wound and did a full examination. Fortunately, only his leg was injured. And it wasn't too serious. A minor surgery, 3 months of recovery. I stayed with Sebastian through the surgery. I hired a caregiver for him. I visited the hospital daily to bring him food. The man who'd wanted to hop around was now lying in bed like a sickly beauty. "Claire, I'm thirsty." "Claire, my hands hurt. I need you to feed me." "Claire, my shoulders are so sore. Massage them for me." I didn't want to deal with him. His handsome face immediately scrunched up. "My leg hurts so much. Who did I get injured for?" I sat by his bed and massaged his shoulders. That's when Dominic walked in. He stood at the door and knocked sharply. I looked up to see his expression dark as thunder. I hadn't seen him in a while. Dominic looked haggard and worn. Without a word, Dominic grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the door. "Dominic, take your dirty paws off my girlfriend. Let go or I'll fight you." Sebastian struggled to get out of bed. "Stay put or no dinner." I glared at him. "I'll talk to Dominic briefly and come right back." Sebastian obediently lay back down. Dominic's expression darkened further. He took 2 deep breaths, barely controlling his rage. We stepped outside. I looked at him. "Are you here to give me a wedding invitation for you and Vivienne?" "I'm not interested in attending my ex's wedding, Claire. I'm not marrying Vivienne." Dominic's voice was hoarse. "Then why are you looking for me?" Dominic said nothing. I turned impatiently to go back inside. "Claire, let's remarry." Dominic finally spoke. "This whole time you weren't around, I kept thinking about you, dreaming about you. I realized I love you. After you left, I finally understood my own heart." His tone became almost petulant. "Why didn't you answer my calls? When Preston called you, you didn't answer either." For someone as proud as Dominic to say these things clearly took enormous courage. But I didn't feel moved. On the contrary, I found it laughable. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. "I'm sorry. I don't love you anymore. And I have someone I care about now. Please don't disturb us." Dominic panicked. "Claire, don't trust Sebastian. He doesn't love you." "He's just trying to compete with me." I laughed softly. "When I was sick and called you, you said you had to work overtime. Days ago, when I was almost hit by a car, Sebastian shielded me with his body, completely disregarding his own safety. Do you really think you have the right to say Sebastian doesn't love me?" Dominic stood there, speechless. "Dominic, we're divorced. We can't go back. Go find your Vivienne. I turned and went back into the hospital room. Dominic stood there, like an abandoned child, lost and helpless. I felt no sympathy. Everyone must take responsibility for their choices and actions. He was 26, not 6. No one would wait forever. No one would tolerate him indefinitely. What's missed is missed. I entered the room to hear Sebastian's dramatic voice. Claire, my leg hurts so much. Come kiss it, a kiss will make it better. I pinched his ear. Ow! I said kiss my face. Why are you kissing my mouth? In public too? A week later, Sebastian was discharged. I hired a caregiver to look after him for 3 months. I also visited frequently. 3 months later, according to the doctor, he should have been able to walk freely. But his recovery was unusually slow. Every time his foot touched the ground, he'd wail dramatically. Something was off. He was the clothes make the man type, lean-dressed, muscular undressed. Once, I accidentally caught a glimpse he had 8-pack abs. Clearly, he exercised regularly. With such excellent physical condition, how could he not recover after 3 months? Claire, my leg's so sore. Massage it for me, Sebastian said as usual. I suddenly clutched my stomach. Sebastian sprang up instantly. Claire, what's wrong? Does your stomach hurt? I'll take you to the hospital. I stared at him expressionlessly. Sebastian realized his act was blown. He became playful. Oh my, how did my leg suddenly heal? Is this the power of love? I reached out and pinched his ear. Sebastian accompanied me to prenatal checkups and was there for the birth. The day our child was born, he clumsily and carefully hovered around the baby. Hey, sweetie, say daddy. I was a new mother, equally clumsy. Sebastian grew alongside me. Within days, he'd mastered diaper changes. When the baby turned 1, the first word was mama. The second was dada. Sebastian was thrilled all day. It was my first time seeing someone so enthusiastic about being a father to someone else's child. When the baby was 2, Sebastian and I got together. When the baby was 3, we got married, with the little one as our flower child. The wedding was low-key, with only Sebastian's close family and friends invited. Sebastian slipped the wedding ring onto my finger. I turned my head and glimpsed a figure in the crowd. I froze momentarily. Then I looked back at Sebastian and smiled with genuine happiness. I was so fortunate to have found someone who loved me in this life. I left the chapel. In a corner, 2 figures, one tall, one small. I walked over nervously. Dominic was offering candy to our chubby-cheeked little one. The child's features hadn't fully formed yet, but already resembled Dominic, clearly a miniature version of him. The little one didn't take the candy. Instead, in a sweet voice, Mommy and Daddy said not to take things from strangers. Dominic's hand froze, his eyes visibly reddening. I took the child's hand. Sebastian came over too. I handed our child to Sebastian. Go play with Daddy. Sebastian was reluctant, eyeing Dominic warily. I gave him a reassuring look. Sebastian finally led the little one away. Claire. These 4 years had aged Dominic considerably. He never married Vivienne. Vivienne had returned abroad, reconciled with her ex-husband, and they continued their toxic cycle. Dominic never remarried. I heard he drank often and lived in a downward spiral. His career had also declined significantly. Perhaps it was the butterfly effect. I chose not to be the saintly cannon fodder, and everything changed. Nothing followed the novel's plot. That child. Dominic's voice was urgent. It doesn't matter anymore. Dominic, don't appear before me again. Otherwise, I'll make sure you never find me. I turned and walked away. Behind me, the man broke down sobbing. I didn't look back. Instead, I walked step by step toward my beloved. I remembered my first meeting with Sebastian. It was shortly after my marriage to Dominic. He'd stopped me. "Hey, didn't we meet in a past life?" Those memories I'd thought absurd and had buried deep resurfaced as Sebastian and I grew closer, turning into sweetness. I often teased him about that cheesy line. Sebastian would always grab me and kiss me breathless. "Claire, we really did meet in a past life. You forgot. But it's okay. I remember." That's enough. Sebastian's epilogue. My name is Sebastian Cross. I had a childhood friend named Claire. We grew up together. Same kindergarten, same elementary school, same high school. In college, she applied to a school in the South. Her grades were too good. No matter how hard I tried, I could only get into a school in the same city. The two campuses were on opposite ends of the city. I often took hours-long bus rides to see her. If I could see her, what were a few hours? In junior year, I saw her less. I'd started a business. I needed to make money. I wanted to propose after graduation, to have our own little home in this city. I was lucky my project caught a big company's attention. By graduation, I'd saved enough for a house. Just as I was heading to propose with the ring, I watched helplessly as a truck struck her. In that moment, my world turned red. Even after watching them cover her with a white sheet, I didn't believe my girl was gone. I began searching for her everywhere. Friends said I'd gone mad. I knew I hadn't. I was certain my girl was somewhere, waiting for me. I searched city by city. Suddenly, one day, I felt I couldn't move anymore. I lay down in a forest, letting leaves fall on my face. My vision gradually blurred. Faintly, the shimmering sunlight seemed to form a familiar figure. My girl reached out her hand to me. She'd come for me. I smiled. When I woke again, I was lying in a luxurious bed. I was myself, but I also wasn't. My name was Sebastian Cross, born into one of the city's two great families. I had an archenemy named Dominic Hart. My life's purpose seemed to be making trouble for Dominic. When Dominic was unhappy, I was happy. I always felt I'd forgotten something important. Until one day, I saw a girl looking tenderly at Dominic. Inexplicably familiar. My legs moved of their own accord. "Hey, didn't we meet in a past life?" The girl glared at me and ran off. My lost memories gradually returned. Joy bubbled up in my heart. The joy spread through my entire body. I felt like I could fly. "My girl, I found you." The end.